used to wonder what it would feel like if I had you here in my life. The girl of my dreams, homecoming queen. All the other chicks wanted to be like, never got a chance to show ya. All the dudes wanted to know ya. So I played my position and I kept my distance. One day you'll listen to my song. Now here we are together. Everything is so much better. And I can't imagine being here without you. When I'm around you, it feels so good. It feels the way that I thought it would. When I'm around you, I don't wanna leave. You're all that I want, everything that I need. I can't hold this feeling inside. When I'm with you, I feel so alive. This joy that I feel only you can give. Always hope this is what it would be like. It's a blessing just to know ya. Ooh, girl, let me show ya all the love you've been missing. Plenty hugging and kissing every day. Yes, my mission is for ya. Now here we are together. Everything is so much better. And I can't imagine being in here without you. When I'm around you, it feels so good. It feels the way that I thought it would. When I'm around you, I don't wanna leave. You're all that I want, everything that I need. Yeah.
Are we on the air?
You are now tuned into Elevations Radio, your station for uplifting lifestyle, wellness talk, and indie music radio.
Views expressed on shows are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its management, or other advertisers. Use of these shows and all services provided therein are for personal use only. The Elevations Radio Network holds no responsibility for the validity or accuracy of information on these shows.
Hey fam, welcome to the Let's Be Real with Greg Bam Reeves show here on elevationsradio.com, home of the best indie music you'll find online and some of the hottest talk shows on radio. I am your host, Greg Bam Reeves. I have a special guest today, Miss Ebony Parker.
Hi everyone.
Hey. So before I tell you all about Ebony or let her tell you about herself, let me say that this show is sponsored by Cat's Law, LLC, 675 Northfield Road, Bedford, Ohio, 44146. and the firm's practice areas are focused upon addressing the principal challenges in personal injury, employment, and corporate law. Their services include free consultation, continued correspondence to keep you informed of the status of your case. You can check them out at www.catslaw.com, and that's Cat's Law. See my man Sergi Katz, and when you need us the most. So that's that. Now, normally, you all know I like to clown at the beginning of the show, but this is kind of a serious topic we're going to talk about today. I will give y'all this real quick, though. The pettiest thing I've read this week is actually something that I wrote. I said, ladies, if you got a man, don't ask me for nothing. Oh. That was petty. I know it was petty, but I had somebody in mind when I posted that. Anyway, so Miss Parker, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, for starters, I am a local life coach, as well as acting coach. I work with local artists here in the city of Cleveland and around the Akron area. I actually just wrapped up a web series called Pinheads.
Oh, really?
Working with Alex DeVille, and also working on a feature film for next year. No, I'm not telling.
Oh, okay. You already knew what I was going to ask.
Can't spoil it.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tony Time Production on that one.
There you go. That's cool. And we were saying before off air that you enjoy basketball.
I love basketball.
Are you a Cavalier fan? Or?
Actually, I don't have a particular team that I actually say, oh, I love. I just enjoy the sport itself,
Okay, that's cool. Did you play?
Yes, I did. I played for Lima Senior High School in Lima, Ohio.
Ah, okay. So you got a little sports in you.
Yes.
Phone lines open at 440-252-0518. That's 440-252-0518. Now, the subject today is kind of deep. I know every now and then I have to go there. I try to keep my show as light as I can and have a lot of fun, but some subjects come about that really touch me, I think need to be talked about, and this happens to be one of them. What Ebony hadn't revealed yet is that she is a survivor of sexual assault.
Yes.
Yes, and we're going to get into that today. One of the reasons why this was so important to me is in the last few years, I realized that so many women I've met are, I don't want to call them victims, they are survivors of sexual assault. And I just didn't realize it was that prevalent out here. It's just, a lot of women that I know. So anyway, I just thought, I guess hearing the Me Too movement so much, and I'm trying to build up toward the election and get people involved in voting and all that. And every time I hear Me Too, I think about it, and we really need to pay attention to these people we're putting in office.
Yes.
So
to elaborate on what you just said, as far as not knowing that so many women are survivors of sexual assault, it is a really tough topic to talk about, whether it has to do with rape or sexual assault or, domestic violence or anything like that. A lot of people are uncomfortable to just say, hey, this happened to me, and not knowing that it's actually horrific,
Yeah.
And the good thing to actually not be silent and just speak up. It's part of the healing process. Myself, I can say.
I'll be honest, I get a little angry when I hear other women that will say things like, well, why did she wait 20 years to say something? You just said it right there. That's not an easy thing to... And then who do you tell?
I think what happens is for some people is just what you just said. The first thing is maybe you're probably blamed for what might have happened to you. I actually spoke with a a survivor before, and she said the first thing someone said, well, what were you wearing, you know?
Yeah. Like,
and it was just shocking, and
Yeah.
it would actually put someone in their shell, you know? Instead of like when someone comes forth and they say, hey, this happened to me, and you like actually showing them love and wrapping your arms around them and just saying, you know, hey, I believe you, you know?
right, yeah.
But it's just really tough.
Right.
It's very tough.
And I want to read this definition real quick. So people have well, this is a definition. I'm not going to say this is going to give you any better understanding, but it kind of goes along with what we're talking about. Sexual assault is any type of sexual activity or contact that you do not consent to. Sexual assault can happen through physical force or threats of force, or if the attacker gave the victim drugs or alcohol as part of the assault. Sexual assault includes rape and sexual coercion. That's important to hear. Sexual coercion. In the United States, 1 in 3 women have experienced some type of sexual violence. 1 in 3 women. That's and also in the statistics, 1 in 71 men.
Yes.
Because, you know, we really don't talk about that. They kind of clown Terry Crews a little bit. Some people did, not really, when he came out as part of the Me Too movement. And especially Terry Crews. You see this big ex-football player. You're like,
how you let something like that
Yeah.
happen to you? You know, but it's actually true. Sexual
Yeah.
assault does happen with men. And just what you just read was the fact that it can happen like when you're under the influence, like a date rape drug or something like that. And a lot of times when it comes to males, that's really kind of like what happens a little bit too. So it actually happens on both sides of the fence. It just comes off a little because it's a male, hey,
yeah.
you know.
But I know men that weren't in prison that were sexually assaulted. I mean, I know them. Of course, I know men in prison too. That's why I emphasize that coercion part. Like this one guy, I don't want to say he was really coerced. He kind of did it himself, but he pretty much traded his manhood for some cigarettes. He wanted to smoke that bad. And the guy was like, well, I give you some cigarettes if you... So, yeah, that is coercion, I think.
That's called extortion.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, phone lines are open at 440-252-0518. That's 440-252-0518. Don't be scared. This is a healing show today.
Yes.
Call in and tell your story, and I'm about to ask Ebony to tell us her story.
Well, actually, where do I start? Sexual abuse actually started for me at a very, very young age. As early as I can remember, at the age of 3.
Jeez.
And I'm 35 years old now, so trying to understand the process a little bit. I know back then, like when your parents had like a boyfriend or a male friend or something like that, they were like uncle, you know?
Right, yeah.
It was not like, you know, stepdad or mom's boyfriend or anything like that, you know, and a lot of things went on in my household as well. So a lot of things happened. But I never forget, it started with the age of 3, and it gradually with the same person up until like the age of 8. I do remember like telling my mother, and it was always like I remember actually going to tell her, and then she never like had time. It was always like, you know, I'm busy, or, you know,
Right,
you know. So over time, you just never said anything. And then when I did have the time, it was, you're lying. That never happened, you know?
Yeah.
Don't say that, you know? Why do you talk like that? Or you don't tell no one that, you know? Or that is a serious allegation, you know? And that wasn't her word verbatim as far as allegations, but it was just like, you know, it was planted in your head that couldn't have never happened, you know? And I think that led me to just not trusting people as I got older. And then I started acting out far as like, you know, in school, and I remember not wanting to be at home at a very young age, so I started like running away from home and things like that, and landed me into like, you know, group homes, and actually landed me into like foster care as well. But in the midst of running away from home, it happened again because it was just so easy to kind of like if a guy, and I remember I was 13 years old. I was walking down 105 and 105 East 105, which goes really far, but this one was like back towards Bretnaw. And I never forget walking just because I didn't want to be at home. I was hungry. I'll never forget. And this guy pulled over. He was like, "Hey, where you going?" And I'm like, "Oh, just walking." And he offered me to get in the car with him. And, I'm basically 13 on my own, taking care of myself. And, you hungry, you get in the car, And that's what happens. And he tricked me as if he was going to take me to go get something to eat. But he turned the corner and he goes like towards the back behind a building. And that's when the attack had happened.
Wow.
And it turned from this friendly, kind, nice person to where, like, if looks can kill, like, I would have been dead, But then, too, as the assault is taking place, it becomes like a norm, too. It's like you become numb to what's actually, like, happening,
It's called disassociation.
Yes.
You go somewhere else in your mind.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine. I mean, any age, but 3, that's just sad. Beyond sad. I would really love if...
What's really, really sad about it, and it even happened today, it can be the closest people to...
Yeah.
To someone, especially children, and you don't even know that these things are actually occurring because it's like the eyes don't even allow you to actually see it,
Right, yeah. I really wish I had a parent of a child that was sexually assaulted to call in and explain to me how you don't believe your child. I mean, as children, we lie about everything. No, I didn't break that vase. No, I didn't leave the water on. But what child makes up that they were sexually assaulted? I've never heard of a child doing that, especially that young.
I always believe, for one, little people are very interesting people to me, and their brains are like sponges. So when a child actually speaks certain things in a very detailed, listen.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. We have a caller? Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Marsha.
Hey.
Hi, Marsha.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm getting better.
No, I was just about to say, how are you feeling? This is my co-host.
Marsha, you got to turn your phone.
You turn your radio down. Turn your radio down.
Hold on for a minute. Let me turn this down. Okay, did I turn it down? Get it long enough?
No, you got to turn it down some more.
Man. Hold on, why don't I just turn this off, period.
There you go.
Hello?
Yeah.
There you go. Hi, guys. How you doing? Ebony, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I wanted to say thanks for coming on to share your story. I wanted to say that sexual abuse, I experienced it myself as a child. And it's very great that you're telling your story because this way maybe you'll have other women come out to tell their story. Because a lot of people, young ladies don't want to discuss this because of the simple fact, like you say, it happens in the home, relatives and stuff like that. And, it's a deep emotional scar. But I just wanted to commend you for coming on the show to share your story.
Thank you.
I'm not going to take up much of your time because the show is about you. So continue telling your story, and maybe other young women will come out, because a lot of women don't share their story.
Mm-hmm. And thank you so much. And you get better. Keep taking care of yourself.
Thank you. All right, I appreciate it, and you guys be blessed.
Okay, you too.
You too.
Yeah, I put on my Facebook page, I said I wish somebody would come on the show brave enough to talk about it, and Ebony responded.
And you know why I responded? through all that I experienced as a child, actually that's led me up to actually my acting career, right? Because I learned the art in me. Like, I started writing. I'm very comical. I like to laugh.
Okay,
you know? And I always took, like, whatever I went through, I try to turn it to, like, a positive. Like, because I always knew it was something great in me in spite of, you know? And that just kept me going. So I learned that my 13-year-old daughter is an extraordinary writer. And when I seen her writing, she wrote a story. Well, she wrote a poem, basically. It was a poem. And in this poem, I picked up that she was writing about me, you know?
Oh, wow.
That's what I picked up. And so I elaborate with her on what she had wrote. And she just told me, like, she said, Ma, you just don't know. Like, a lot of times I seen you crying. And I'm like, huh? And she's like, yeah. And she started telling me, like, certain little things.
So you've shared your story with your daughter?
I talked to my daughter. I always talk to her about when it comes to, like, you know, the signs if, you know, someone was ever bothering her. But I never knew that. Like, and that goes back to children. They pay attention. And they know certain things.
We got another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Nikki Purple. I am calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
I'm not going to tell her story. I'll let her tell it, but I will say this was a guest I had on a few months ago.
Okay.
And I had no idea the story that she was going to tell me. I had her on the show because she had a dental makeover, which I never even heard of. And she was writing these books and all that stuff. So I asked her to come on the show. And I'll let her tell you the rest. Go ahead, Nikki.
Well, my name is Nikki Purple. I'm born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. I now reside in Atlanta, Georgia. But I was gang raped in Cleveland when I was 17. And out of this gang rape, they probably raped about 13 different women. I was one of the 13 that actually got away. And I want to say, I don't know how long. I think the show, I don't want to take too much of the time, but what came along with the gang rape, it was very traumatic, the things that they were doing, these three different individuals. And I definitely believe that I was blessed to get away, since so many of the other women were not able to get away. But I took that gang rape. I could have been depressed. I could have did a lot of different things. But what I took out of me being gang raped was the fact that I was created by God, beautifully and wonderfully made. So I took that beauty, and I decided to not be, as the cliche is, a victim of gang rape or a victim of abuse, because certain things come with being a victim. And I look at it as I survived. So for one, that makes me a survivor. And also, it also had me to kind of look and really have interest as to how often women are sexually violated, which I know I was looking at a post, I think it was on Huffington Post, where it said every 98 seconds there is someone that is sexually assaulted. And that's every day, every 90.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and just what she said,
And I just learned that as far as airplanes, which is something that's kind of new coming down the pipeline, is this year it went up 60% for women being sexually violated on an airplane back to the window while they fall asleep.
Parties, alleys.
Yeah, it went up 60% this year.
My goodness. This is airplanes. I would have never even thought of that.
And you know what? Just talking about this topic is something that is really huge in our country, you know? And it's something that our country actually needs to address, the way they handle these, you know, sexual assault, these allegations and everything. It's over time, it's always been like swept under the rug, you know? just swept under the rug.
Jeez.
I'm not surprised by those numbers.
Well, thank you so much, Nikki, for calling in and sharing your story.
Oh, you're welcome.
And
you're welcome. I definitely, I feel like it's a much needed topic because it does allow other people to come out that might be ashamed or don't know how to come forward. So it's a lot of strength in us just using this platform, such as yourself. So I want to thank you for the platform that you provided in Cleveland, Ohio, because the statistics are very alarming in Cleveland, in itself. We've had some of the biggest rape cases come out of Cleveland.
Yeah.
So much needed.
And could you remind my audience of the name of your book?
The name of my book is called Still Beautiful, and it's a journal of emotional healing.
Awesome.
There you go.
Where can that book be purchased? Do you have an audio book? Because I love audio books.
It can be purchased on Amazon.
Okay,
I am working on an audio version, but it's definitely on Amazon. You can go put in just Still Beautiful by Nikki Purple, and a book will come up where you can look at it. It was endorsed by Les Brown, if you're familiar with him. His endorsement is on the back of the book, and I kind of go into these stories, being sexually molested and also being gang raped. But it's a lot of different stories, but it's not heavy. It is light, and it just shows you that there's beauty in every single thing. And if we can just, when these things happen, because I don't wish no one to be raped or abused or assaulted, but when it happens, it almost makes us feel like we are damaged, we are broken, and again, being that victim. So finding beauty in somebody else's story will actually, encourage and uplift them and bring them kind of back into the light of remembering just how beautiful they are.
I was trying my best not to go on Amazon, but you got me. You have my support. I need that book.
Yeah. Thank you again, Nikki.
You're so welcome. Thank you. And again, you guys keep doing what you're doing at Elevations, and I definitely will continue to say support Elevations because you guys have some definitely some healthy topics.
Thank you so much. So now you got to write a book.
I know. What I was telling you, my daughter, just briefly, she was writing and she wrote some things that just hit some nerves, and I was so surprised that she paid that much attention. And she said a lot of great things. And she said a lot of things that you just like, and she just looked over and said, "Ma, you should let me write your book."
Yeah. Wow. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Sit back. Let her do it.
I know. Actually, I am working on making a documentary first.
Okay. Yeah, that's more your.
Yeah,
the movie
so
thing.
That is in the making to make a documentary first. It takes some time because I have been all over Ohio throughout my life, since a kid up until now. So it would take a lot of traveling and, dedicated people. I know they're listening, but so.
Okay,
awesome.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. Listen to a nice song. Excuse my voice, y'all. I've been sick all week. But I was not going to do this show. But we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more of Let's Be Real with Greg Bam Reeves.
Hi, this is Nina Hunt from Los Angeles, California. I listen to Let's Be Real with Greg Bam Reeves, Thursday nights from 6 to 7 on Elevation Radio.
Spread your wings and fly, 'cause baby you can touch the sky. Open your eyes, see baby you were born to fly. Take off, soar high, 'cause baby you can touch the sky. Open your eyes, see baby you were born to fly. Open your eyes, live your dreams. Don't just sit by. touch the sky. Open your eyes. See, baby, you were born to fly. Unlock the door to the world. The soft of fire. Destiny is calling you to rise.
Hey, welcome back to Let's Be Real with Greg Bam Reeves show, along with my guest today, Ebony Parker, and we're talking about sexual assault. And there was a lot. And there was a lot in the first half of the show. This part of the show, I want to get into, like, how, I know it's different for everybody, but how did you get through? How did you get past? How do you go from victim to survivor?
There's really not a right answer to that. But
right.
What I can say that has helped me is just not being quiet about it. Because what happens is you tend to build up a lot of anger, just that self-hatred, as if you are to blame for whatever has happened.
Mm-hmm.
Just for me, just talking about it. I feel like in life, like, just own who you are. Whether something bad or good happened to you, that's just who you are. That's a part of who you are. That doesn't define who you are and what might happen in the future. You understand?
Yeah.
So just talking about it, it does help. It does help. Mm-hmm. And just you saying something might encourage someone else to just say, hey, you know what? Hey, that happened to me, you know? And then now you have someone to talk to or relate to.
Yeah.
You know
that you're not alone.
You're not alone at all.
Phone lines are open at 440-252-0518. That's 440-252-0518. So the other night I was watching, for the millionth time, Medea's family reunion. Yeah. And of course there's the one character who was sexually assaulted when she was a child, and she was like super overprotective of her children. Do you feel like you've done that with your daughter?
Feel is not the word. I am, and I have noticed a lot of things that I have picked up and because of my past, but not just my daughters. My sons. Mm-hmm. My sons, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because, when we talk about this, when we talk about sexual assault, sexual abuse, a lot of times we're talking about women being sexual. But then when you talk about the Catholic Church, there's a lot of boys. And not just the Catholic Church, but I had a friend that's sexually assaulted in a Baptist church in the bathroom when we were very, very young. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Tanya from Cleveland, Ohio.
Hi, Tanya.
Tanya.
Hi, how are you all doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Is there something that you'd like to say?
Tanya, are you there?
I'm sorry. I'm just coming in. If I could just listen a little bit. I don't want to. I'm just able to come in. So I'm a little behind.
So you have to listen on Elevation.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You can listen on elevationsradio.com.
Is there anything that you would like to ask us in regards to the topic, Tanya?
Yes. Can you tell me what the topic? Yes.
We
I'm
are
sorry.
discussing sexual assault.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
Now we talking sexual. Wow, that's a deep one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll go back on the web, see if I can get on the web page and listen to you guys. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. We got another one? Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Caller? Okay. So, that was kind of odd.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when you said your sons, something about your look, what was that about?
Well,
it seemed like you
I didn't want to say the wrong thing, but I just feel like in the world that we live today, things aren't being acknowledged, and I see things that's going on around me, like far as when it comes to like, you know, sexuality, people's sexualities and things like that. And I watch like our young men, and whether they're minorities or white or Latinos and things like that, and it questions me. I ask myself a question like either what happened, you know, or how does anyone carry on? And I'm not against like homosexuality or anything like that. I believe people are people. So let me correct that. But in the same token, though, I do worry about my boys. I mean, that is a fear that you just have as a parent, whether it's you're dealing with your daughters or your sons.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of men, it happens to them, the sexual abuse, the sexual assault, and things like that. And you never know. Just like my daughter can be walking down the street and something happened to her, it can happen to your sons as well.
Oh yeah.
You know,
definitely.
It can happen. And then you have to worry about if your son or your daughter are going to be scarred, and then they think that, hey, this is okay. And then they find themselves, you know, just having a hard time identifying themselves as people as growing up, you know?
Right, yeah.
You know, I know several stories of men who've been sexually abused, you know, with women. And it's happening a lot when they're young boys. I remember the first time I met with someone, I was a drug counselor. He was like, he'd be like in his 50s. And and it totally got missed in his assessment. So
he's in his 50s now or back then?
When I talked with him, he was in his 50s.
Okay.
And I had asked him, I was going through his chart, and it said first sexual experience at 7 years old, but he said no to sexual abuse. And so I asked him about it. I said, how old was she? Well, she was 16. In his mind, he thought he was being a man. And I'm like, at 7, you were still supposed to be playing with your
I heard a lot of stories like that.
And so not defining it like it should be for young men is also part of the problem. And so they walk around for like, well, I just became a man early. No, you should never have been sexualized that early.
Right.
And I've heard several other stories of babysitters in the projects. A lot of this happens, and babysitters abusing little boys. And then even in athletics, one of the people commented earlier in the show about the athletics and the grooming, the coaches. And when you're grooming, it's like little things at a time. You don't realize if they make it seem like it's normal, leaving a porno around or something like that.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're in this quote unquote relationship with someone and not realizing I must have asked for this. Did I engage this myself? Type of situation. So
Antoine
very
Fisher.
common. Yeah.
And this story.
And not only that, appearance too. How are you around your children? What are you showing them? What are you actually? I think sexual abuse goes. It's a wide part. You know.
Oh yeah.
I don't believe, like in my household, I feel like my children should never see me exposed, never see me like naked, never. That's, to me, it's still sexual abuse. Like, I feel like I'm introducing them into this world, a curiosity, hey, you know, what else, you know? So just what, not only who's around your children, but what are you doing around your children as well? To even open these doors. Like I am, when you see the look on my eyes, I am very protective of my children. But one thing I admire about my parenting is that I'm very open with them. I talk to them. I educate them.
Do you think if it, God forbid, but if it were to happen, they would feel comfortable coming to you?
Oh yeah, because I don't even wait for them to come. I do random little checks, like, hey, you know,
right,
you know, and I be on their heel like glue. Believe me, it's so. Look, I have 6 children, and with 6, my house is not really like a military camp though, but it is very structured, and we are on the same page. But one thing I know that helped my family is we do family meetings throughout the week, and in this meeting you can express yourself. You can say whatever you want. I don't care if you even prayed and cursed or say whatever. You able to express yourself, whatever goes on throughout the week. And I learned that helped the kids, and they're not afraid to come to you like, hey mom, so you know, it's this girl, or you know, just let them express themselves.
I'm glad you said that, because I brought that up. I think it was last week's show about family meetings. I was like, do Black people still have family meetings? So it's good to know that there are families that still do.
You know why?
I think it's healthy.
It's very healthy. And I just feel like, I don't know, a lot of people might disagree with me, but I just feel like as a parent, if I want my children to listen to me, you know, I have to listen to them as well, because your opinion does matter. You don't want to look like that you don't listen to them. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, I'm still boss though, but hey, your opinion does matter. So I get on their level sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
So yes, meetings are very important, and I learned that because I worried about my oldest son. You know, he's getting a little older. He's starting to like girls and you know, things like that. So just hearing a lot of things that goes on in the media now when it does talk about sexual assault and you know, just how these women are coming forward and things like that. So one day I just came to him and I said, do you know about rape? And my son is goofy as I am. He's like, huh? What?
But I pay attention to them type of reactions too, because I ask my kids, you know, I've heard every story under the sun, so I ask my kids questions. And I watch not only for what they say, but how they say it. Because if their eyes change, I want to make sure that they still got that innocence. So if I touch you inappropriately, and my daughter goes,
no,
exactly. Thank you. I know she's not hiding it from you.
Exactly. And what she just said, when it comes to your when you ask your children, anyone touch you? Like when I give my daughters bath, I test them. And one thing I'm really grateful to is they father too. Like we're not together, but we co-parent very well till we stay on the same page, you know. And we test them whenever, you know, they're getting their baths, or you know, you wash them up, or how you put their clothes on. You just test them, and like she said, you ask them those questions, or you can even try to trick them a little bit to see if they understand what you are asking them, you know, and how will they respond. But those are very, very important things to do with your children. I don't care if you're a caregiver for a niece or a teenager, but I mean, I don't think nothing's wrong with being open, talking to children when it comes to.
I have a question for you. Did you go to therapy, or what was your therapy?
Honestly, growing up, I went through a lot of therapy. I went to counseling faithfully. It was like a Bible. but you know, I was a child awarded to the system, and that was just something that they did. I don't feel like that what helped me. I think just honestly, you know what I think really saved me? I started doing yoga. Yoga. No, seriously. And I only been doing yoga for maybe about the past 3 years.
It's emotion regulation. So that's
Honestly, I believe I believe I was always healing, but I think I was always too like in denial too, you know. But I learned when I started doing yoga and becoming more relaxed and, you know, kind of just letting yourself go, you know, because that's what yoga is all about. Is the breathing of it, you know, just the relaxing and just that self-care, that self-love. It's like you can become in tune with yourself. Honestly, that helped me. It helped me a whole lot.
The phone lines are open at 440-252-0518. That's 440-252-0518. I want to ask you real quick, do you talk to your sons about what's appropriate and inappropriate when dealing with women, females, girls?
All the time. Actually, I got this thing, my oldest son, because he's like the man in the house, I say. But he always got in his mind how he would like his little sisters to be treated, you know? So what he does is he like to get them dressed and he talk to them about like boys and like, hey, you guys want to go to the movies? If a guy can't take you and ask you for a date, you know, like don't you go out with them. He always say he wants to be like that guy to say, hey, this is how a guy is supposed to treat you. But as far as all the time, because it's like, for one, I love history too, so I look at my son as that young black male, and one day you're going to be an older black male, you know. So I always talk to him and let him know certain things that's going on, like in the media, you know. And when he started dating, you know, I can only teach him so much though, but I think about the things that you just don't do when it comes to like a female, or the things you don't do when it comes to, you know, boundaries, you know, boundaries. You gotta, there's boundaries, you know.
There's a discussion going on in the chat room that I wanted to address so that we don't have any misunderstanding, because Gerald says most abusers were abused when they were children, and then Rena said that doesn't make it right. And it's not an excuse for the abusers, but you must understand the cycle, the recidivism, and also so that when if you have someone in your family that has been abused, getting them the proper healing and making them understand what happened as early as possible, so that this is not the only acting out behavior that results from it, but this is one of the acting out behaviors that can result from sexual abuse. So I just wanted to clarify that. I don't want people to walk away from this thinking, hey, somebody blaming
no.
or giving an excuse to the abuser. That's not the case. But you do have to understand that it that keeps the cycle going. That's why it's so generational.
Hurt people. I just truly believe that, you know. But there's nothing to justify any type of behavior when it comes to any kind of act like that. And for me, there is no excuse, whether they were sexually assaulted as a child, or this is just something that they just say, hey, you know.
But most times they haven't, and it's usually this is what they say: you can find out the age that they were abused based on the victim that they go after.
Right.
So, you know, but the chances of not offending again are slim to none. So you have to be aware of that when you're dealing with an abuser. But again, especially when we have a lot of children and mothers want to make excuses or ignore certain behaviors, or you cannot ignore it because you don't want them to grow up and be a problem or have these problem behaviors. So there's that.
So I want to ask you kind of a tough question. It's a little flipping it around a little bit. So recently, a former running back for Ohio State, this young lady accused him of rape, and then she finally admitted that she lied. There's been a discussion going around. Do you think people that do that should face charges?
Most definitely.
It's tricky.
Exactly.
It's tricky because you got people that you want to believe the victim first and at least investigate it. You definitely want to do that. But then there are cases where a lot of times they've lied and people have suffered a consequence. They went to jail, or lost their careers or whatever.
Their reputation.
And then they'll come later on and say, okay, I lied, you know.
That's
I think they should suffer some type of consequences.
I feel like that's also too stripping someone's identity, their self, everything.
And somebody is going to always believe that bad thing that they did that. And I keep going to Tyler Perry movies. He seemed to have a lot of that in his movies. Daddy's Little Girls. This young man, football star, and he lost his career because this white girl said that he raped her. Found out later on that he didn't. But he lost everything by that point. He had already lost his his basketball career and all that. So I just think in cases like that, then that person should suffer some type of consequence.
I have to agree with you on that. I mean, what's the difference of it?
Right.
You know? I mean, saying someone raped you or assaulted you, that is a serious allegation.
Yes.
And if it happened, it happened. But if it did not, that can just, what's the difference? It affects you if that happens to you. You don't think that it affects that person mentally as well by just having that label over them?
And see, this is the thing. Like, it's a little different nowadays, but back in the day, if you went to prison for rape, you were getting raped. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. When you walk in the door, that's what's going to happen to you. So not only did you lie and get this person locked up, but you might have changed that person's sexuality. You know what I'm saying? Because you go in there and you get raped, and all of a sudden now you're gay, and I'm saying that could happen. I'm not saying that does happen, but all I'm saying is if you're lying, and it's really, we can talk about anything. Yeah, it could be about anything. You can say they robbed me, whatever, but the subject is sexual assault. I'm just saying.
I just learned what the word "turned out" means. I swear.
Turned out.
Yeah, I just learned, like I knew, like, you know, once you hear it, like, and it's put into, you know, context, you be like, oh, okay, but where it originally came from, and it came from like prison. Like, that's when guys went to like prison, then they get turned out, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. And then they start, you know, of course, sexual favors with other guys in prison and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, turns out, man, it happened, and now you're okay with it.
Yeah, so when we use these words, I don't know, everybody want to be careful.
That's right. That's right.
I don't want to be turned out, turned up, no nothing.
No turns. No turns. Yeah, but
we have an awesome discussion going on in the chat room. I just want to shout out all your people in there and having a very educated conversation.
Yeah, thank you all. I'm too busy watching the clock. I miss a lot of this, but I'm gonna have to catch up with you all later. But thank you all too for contributing, and y'all can call in too. You can always call in. Phone lines are open 440-252-0518. So then what I read the definition earlier, and emphasized coercion. It even said on here, you're giving somebody drugs or alcohol. This is what I'm saying. I don't have any sympathy for Bill Cosby. People can say that, well, them women knew what they was getting into when they went. They didn't expect to get knocked out. That's
and you know what? You know what's interesting? And I also, too, read that the most common cases are the date rape and the drugs. And, you know, that's yeah. So
that's another kind of sick to me. I jokingly said, but I really wasn't joking. I was serious.
I just don't think it's different than Alex over here date raped someone and Bill Cosby. Like, they still committed the same crime. Like, that's just how I look at it. You know, if he did it, he did it. Like, sorry, Bill. But, I mean,
I said on my page, I'm like, maybe these women wanted to stay awake and enjoy it too. You don't know. I mean, but once you
people get
you just took their choice away.
Well, and that's where the sickness, I think, come in people's minds. It's the gratification of the control, the power. You know, to me, that's just a sick individual.
And they may not have been
control.
They just blacked out.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, just go get you a doll or something. You don't need to take advantage of anyone. Just go get a doll. Like they just.
And I don't really mean to pile on Bill Cosby. He's suffering right now as we speak. But I'm just saying, you already got power. I mean, there's women are falling over you because you're Bill Cosby.
I mean,
like
you can't pick and choose what situation is right or wrong. Like I just don't care whether it was my own kinfolk. Like I just don't. If you commit a crime, you committed a crime, and you pay for what you do. Yeah. So I don't know. So I wasn't there when it happened, listeners. Right. So I'm just saying, if he did it, he did it.
Right. So he was found guilty of a situation in 2004 because everybody want to go back 30 years. No, this was 2004. So it wasn't.
Oh, you guys, can I share a story?
Sure.
So I was watching this video on YouTube, and this black guy was on a bus along with a Latino guy, and I believe this happened in New York. And it was a little 11-year-old girl sitting on the back of the bus, and the Latino guy was intoxicated, they say, and he's like touching the little girl's hand, and he rubbing on her, and inviting the girl like to come with him and stuff. So the black guy is actually sitting on the bus, and he's witnessing the act, and to where he actually sitting there to where he couldn't take what he saw anymore, and he jumped up and said, "Hey, if you touch that little girl again, hey, don't touch her," basically. So it gets not so much out of hand, but he's like actually like in the guy's face, the black guy's like in his face and saying, "Don't touch her." He's telling the bus driver to remove him off the bus, and he's back here touching this little girl, and the cops come. And I found it so ironic how they literally just takes the black guy as if he was, they takes him, just throw him up, place him in handcuffs, and, people trying to tell, like, the story, and they just did him so wrong. Never once, like, asked the question, apprehended the, Latino guy, no, nothing. And then, of course, a black sergeant wound up coming on the scene, and he lets the black guy, go. And I said, whoa. So not only do you deal with these acts that are being committed, but you also had race plays a lot in this too. It
is the worst time. Well, I'm not going to say the worst because we were slaves, but this is a bad time.
But Latinos are minorities too, though.
Yeah, but black people, we are.
The guy was a little darker. That's all I'm saying.
we just seem to get the lowest post on the totem pole. When it comes to dealing with the police and
that's why when you also too when you ask about do I talk to my sons all the time.
I was about to say you got a lot to tell them about.
All the time. But
girls,
I don't talk
police,
to them,
and
but you know what? I don't talk to them to make them afraid or to make mistakes or anything like that. But it's more of awareness. Be aware of these things. There's a real world out there, sir. Right. Not just your PlayStation 4.
Right. And speaking of awareness, I want to give out this National Sexual Assault Hotline number. It's 1-800-656-4673. That's 1-800-656-4673. That's the National Sexual Assault Hotline locally here in Cleveland. And I would suggest wherever you're listening to Google the places near you. I just want to Courtney Hauser. I'm a great friend with her mother. She has From Victim to Survivor. Her phone number is 216. Yeah. 216-202-5179. And you can check out her website, CourtneyHauser.com. And they do great work with survivors or turning victims into survivors. So I had to give that information out before we get out of here.
Good information.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for being here today and sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me.
And I pray that it encourages somebody to come forward that's been abused, being abused, think they might be about to be abused. Just tell somebody. If somebody don't listen, tell somebody else.
And you know what? Also, too, with the young lady that called in earlier, Nikki, what she said is really true. Like the beauty in you, that is so true. And a lot of times, like on Facebook, I just write like, you know, just and stuff that comes across my mind. Like it just comes across my mind, so I write it, or it might be something that I've seen. Yeah. And I turn it to a positive. But that is so true. Like just the beauty in you. Like stay positive. Like. Just don't blame yourself.
Right.
You know?
And can I tell fellas real quick before we go, just think about it for a minute. I mean, when you're talking to these women, just have a little empathy, some wherewithal. Like, you don't know what this woman has gone through. Them days, hey, baby, what's happening? That's over with. You know, have a little compassion, a little understanding, and approach these women, like ladies, like you would want her to be if she was with you. So, I mean, just be somebody that she's comfortable enough to maybe open up to you. And that's it. Anyway, thank you so much again. And matter of fact, in 2 weeks, we're going to have somebody from domestic violence here on the show. And I would love if you would come back or call in, whatever. Yeah. No matter. And like I always say, develop your hunger for knowledge and feed it. Pick up a book and read it. Set a goal and see it through. And always, always believe in you. Peace and love, fam.